Hi Capricorn, Sun, Moon, Ascendant, or Venus. This is Dane, and I'm going to be doing your December 2021 full moon reading for you. Now I ask if this reading resonates with you, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. If you're interested in any of the cards that I'm using, they will be listed and linked in the description box below. Now before we begin this reading, let us clear the energy space, raising our own energy vibration and releasing any negativity. So take a nice deep breath in, exhaling whenever it feels comfortable for you. Releasing all negativity from the body like storm clouds, letting yourself feel calm, centered, and at peace as we enter into this safe and loving space. So let's see what the tarot has to say. How will Capricorn be affected by the December 2021 full moon? Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Guide this reading and show me clearly. There we go. Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Guide this reading and show me clearly. Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Guide this reading and show me clearly. Angels and spirit guides. At the bottom is our rooted self. The left-hand side is our inner self. The middle, our heart, our emotional self. The right-hand side, the public arena, the public self. So let's see what the cards have to say. We have Judgment and we have the Hangman. So we're seeing things differently and we're rising out of the box that we were in, the way we thought things were supposed to be. Then we have the Ace of Swords and the Seven of Cups. So we're getting a gift of clarity and our dreams are really starting to come forward. We have the Four of Cups, so there's a certain way that we're looking at things inwardly and we're getting a gift from Spirit that's going to help change things. But we're going to be looking at things in very much one direction. The gift that we get is going to change the way that we're looking at the situation. We have the Queen of Pentacles, that's us in the minor arcana. We're represented by the Pentacles, in the major arcana, there we go. We're represented by Capricorn energy, by the Devil, there we go. We have the Nine of Cups, wishes coming true, and we have the Eight of Wands. Things start moving quickly. Things start moving quickly once we realize our potential. And in the waking world, we're going to really find that we start to see things very differently. We start to see our success. We start to see our prosperity. We start to see, gifts coming forward. And then all of a sudden, everything starts to change. So let's look at the energy we need to be mindful of. Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. This is the Hierophant. Now, this is Taurus energy. This is institutions. This is traditions. This is the way that it's supposed to be. This could be the status quo. This is also putting a kind of like, it's kind of like this group idea is more important than my ideas, or this institution is more important than me. So just be mindful of that we're going to have a tendency to either say, oh, well, I have to do this for work. And it's going to be like, okay, well, work, is more important than everything else, or, however it plays out. Now, sometimes it has to be important. We have to put food on the table. We have to keep the lights on. There are certain things that are just going to be important, but we can't let an institution take over. And that's going to kind of be the idea of it. Or it's going to be the sense of, this is what success looks like. This is what prosperity looks like. This is what abundance looks like. And if you don't fit into that box, you're obviously wrong. And that's just not going to be the case, Capricorn. Now let's look at our chakra energy. Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Now this is rebirth. This is the Earth Star chakra located 6 inches below our feet. We are transformed and we are reborn. And we're going to see ourselves embracing a really powerful and beautiful transformation for ourselves. Now let's look at this astrologically speaking. On the 18th of December, going into the 19th of December, we have the full moon in Gemini. And this says here, the answers you need are coming. And that's what's going to come with this full moon. The answers we need are coming forward. They're helping us. They're guiding us. They're having us see things very differently than before. So on this full moon, this is one of the best ways to end 2021 because the full moon in Gemini is very lucky, therefore making us very lucky. Everything is aligning so that we can really propel ourselves forward, so that we can really embrace success. This is because of the strong role that Jupiter plays during this time. Now, if we're born on the cusp with Sagittarius energy, this Jupiter energy is going to be stronger for us, okay? Because Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter. We ourselves are ruled by Saturn, so this energy of Jupiter for those of us born on the cusp with Sagittarius can be increased, or if we have strong Sagittarius energy within our natal chart, especially as our rising or as our moon. So just be aware of this. We will have to be mindful because it's not always going to be smooth sailing, even though it's going to be pretty good most of the time. Now the sun is going to be opposite the moon, and this lasts for 2 weeks after the full moon. And this is always how the story of the full moon begins, with the sun opposite the moon. Now, this always brings our close relationships into focus. We also become very aware of the different directions that we're being pulled in, our wants and our needs, what we have to do and what we want to do, what other people want from us, what we want from us, work and home. These things start to become much more prevalent to us, much more real to us during a full moon. And we have to be open and honest with ourselves when we are being drained and when this becomes too much. So just being able to just say it, just being able to express it emotionally to ourselves. We don't have to express it to anybody else. That's going to be something that's rather therapeutic. Now, emotional and intuition, there we go, instinctual, that's the word I was looking for. Our emotions and our instincts are going to be at their peak during the full moon. So it increases our emotional strength and our intuition. It helps us to see what we really need to focus on and helps us to overcome any challenges. We also are more aware of our subconscious understanding and will find ourselves relying on our intuition. It is also a significant end of a cycle. The full moon shows the end of a cycle started with a new moon, and this really lets us see what we need to let go of. It puts a spotlight on what we need to release within our lives. Now, the last hours of the North Lunar Node will be in Gemini. So the last hours that the North Lunar Node will be in Gemini are during this, during this full moon. So Gemini is represented by Mercury. Mercury rules Gemini, and Mercury is in Capricorn energy. So here, Capricorn, we're going to find that we have a lot of control over this North Lunar Node, this sense of this head of the dragon, and it really brings us to a place where we start to see and really perceive and articulate the way that we want to achieve, the way that we want to move forward, the mysteries that the moon holds for us. It makes us much more grounded. It makes us much more rational during this time. And that's really going to be beneficial and help us set up what we want for 2022. The angel number 222, a time of new beginnings, a time of new starts. Now, the full moon is going to be in discord with Neptune. Now, Neptune is our spiritual understanding and our sixth sense. So it is our beliefs, it is our hopes, and it is our wants. Neptune will have us looking at things from a higher spiritual understanding, where we're going to start to look and really see, where are our dreams? What do I want? How do I move forward with purpose within my life? It can almost feel like a crisis of the soul, or it can almost feel like a deep ennui, just kind of like a deep sense of needing to connect with our souls and our dreams and ourselves. And that's where a lot of the clarity is coming in our inner self. Now, Lilith, the Black Moon, is in Gemini. This makes it so that we believe in something that isn't necessarily true, meaning that we need to verify what's being told to us. We need to fact check things. We need to look at things and say, is this right or isn't this right? Like, is somebody just making up stories or aren't they? Now, we're going to have a greater understanding about the truth of things around the 20th of December, because the influence of the Black Moon really starts to clear up. We have the full moon trine Jupiter. Now, this brings positivity, good luck, wealth, abundance, and happiness. We will also have the ability to grow spiritually, personally, and this will lead us to a healthier, happier, and wiser existence. We don't feel as alone with this alignment with the full moon trine Jupiter, because it's easier for us to share our feelings. It's easier for us to connect with others. We're also going to find a great reward and a great connection with relationships and socialization. We'll be open and honest with our goals and what we want. We're going to be very forthright about things, very much straight shooting during this time, and what we are looking for in our lives, which will really benefit us and our personalities and our business and our inner selves and our families and our friends in the long run. So that's going to be really important. What we need to be mindful of here are people of lower energy vibration that see our openness, that see our honesty as weakness, as something that they can exploit, that they can sabotage or cheat us, from what we're really going after. So just be mindful of this. And it can be a little bit hard at times to see the people who are of lower energy vibration, because they can be very chameleon-like, very narcissistic, very much, making it so that they fit into our world. This is also a great moon and a great alignment, the full moon trine Jupiter, for the holiday season, because it's a great way to spread goodwill and generosity. The full moon quincus Venus. Now, Venus goes into retrograde 6 hours after the full moon on the 19th of December. Now, this means that things get a little bit tricky, but because we have the beautiful energy of Jupiter coming in, the most positive planet, in the solar system, or at least one of them, it makes it so that this is the alignment of Jupiter with the full moon is a stronger alignment than that of it with Venus. So even though we're having Venus going into retrograde, even though we're having some issues come up, during this time with planetary alignments, Jupiter really does stabilize things and really does, steady things, which is going to be very nice for us. The full moon quincus Venus increases our need for love and affection. This will be tricky if we feel that our relationships aren't balanced, causing us to feel either taken advantage of or smothered. Now, this is a time to act, this is not a time to act. It keeps on saying, so Spirit keeps on saying it's a time to act, but not act. So it's a time to take. And what that means is that it's a time to take stance within ourselves, to say, this is what I want, this is how I'm moving forward, this is what I'm going after, and yet not really have fights, not really, go against things right at this moment. Because what we need to do is, as we look at things, as we make conclusions within our heads, we step back and we look at our own hearts, our own desires, and we say, how do we love ourselves? Like, how am I connecting with me? And am I putting other people's wants and needs, and am I taking, other people's nonsense, other people's garbage, when it's just not okay? And why am I doing this? Even if we're not in romantic relationships, even if we're not talking about a partner here, but we're talking about family, friends, we're talking about our relationship with our boss, or, our coworkers, even our relationship with ourselves. Are we putting up with negative behavior that is hurting us in the long run? And this is going to come up with the full moon quincus Venus, because it's going to be like, I need to stop this. I don't want this in my life anymore. And we can really see drastic change, from this full moon onward. We have the full moon quincus Pluto. Now, this alignment increases the imbalance in our relationships. So we don't necessarily want this, because we already have that with the full moon quincus Venus, but we really can't stop it because it's the way the planets are aligned. So if we are just simply aware, it becomes easier for us, because this makes us get real with ourselves really fast. The full moon quincus Pluto, it's like, I'm going to be open, I'm going to be honest, I'm going to, say things that you're not going to like to hear, but you're going to have to hear them anyway. This is what we're saying to ourselves. And as we start to really open up, and as we start to, and look at things in a very real and honest and raw way, we need to have somebody to talk to. Now, it can be that we need a family member, a friend, a therapist, a spiritual advisor, or it can be that we need a journal and just to kind of take out all our words onto those pages. Now, they can be really raw, hurtful words if anybody saw them. So we might want to burn those pages afterwards just so that it doesn't get us in any trouble. Because what we're doing is we're avoiding a crisis that will build us up within us if we do not express our pain. We also have Venus conjunct Pluto. Now this makes us in love with the idea of love. We will absolutely love the lust of it all. And that's going to be something that we have to be really mindful of. We will mistaken lust for love super easily. We are totally caught up with the idea of the erotic love, of the idea of the like fireworks, blow your mind type of love. And yet we really need to be looking at the, familia, agape love, the love that is lasting and beautiful and just absolutely connected. So let's talk about the stars. We have the fixed star Betelgeuse, which is located in the constellation of Orion. This brings mental honor, it brings promotion, it brings wealth, it reveals an immense strength within us. The question is, how is this being revealed? Why is this strength needing to come forward? And we're going to find ourselves being a lot stronger than we thought we were. This is also known as the workaholic star. So be mindful of this. We're either all in or nothing at all. We want to be the very best. So just be aware of that. The alignment of the star with this moon makes us swift-minded. It makes us strong-willed. It makes us rebellious. It makes us restless. And we will be rebellious and restless if we feel controlled. Now, we're not going to like authority figures, and this can also bring us great wealth, great honor, and great prosperity because we're so determined to kind of like forge our own path, but we're also going to be really good at like listening to our own instincts, listening to what it is that we desire. The constellation of Orion brings us strength and dignity and self-confidence, but it also brings us insecurity, arrogance, violence, and impiety, meaning we don't really take things, seriously. Nothing is sacred to us or beautiful to us, even ourselves, even, the world that we live in, or, our connection with nature. And that's going to be something that we have to be mindful of. Yet we do also have success in trade, especially when it's overseas trade. So being aware of this can be beneficial to us. Now we have the fixed star Polaris, which is located in the constellation of Ursa Minor. Now this is not as positive as Betelgeuse. I know Betelgeuse does have their issues, but here, Polaris brings intensity. So Polaris can cause sickness, it can cause trouble, it can cause loss of fortune, it can cause disgrace. In legal and inheritance issues, it can get evil attentions from the star. So this star can cause problems. The thing with this star is that it is a guide to what we need to look at and fix. It is telling us where the holes are. It's kind of like, here are the holes in the ship. Don't put the ship in the water because it's going to sink. So just being aware of that becomes a game changer. It's like, this is where the cracks are starting. If you don't fix it, they will become the Grand Canyon. So being aware of this is going to be very good for us. Astrologically speaking, the bear was said to be an evil influence, especially in regards to nations and kings. And I really do feel here, this is where Polaris is really going to kind of shine, quote unquote. I mean, that's funny because it's a star, but puns aside, it's really going to, be this, going to have this intensity because it's going to be around nations and kings, nations and leaders, that we're going to see the cracks forming. And if they don't fix the cracks, then things are going to get bigger. And so it's not necessarily the individual that has to worry with Polaris quite as much, but the leaders. But the fact is that with nations and leaders, it trickles down to us and it becomes our problem anyway. So just being aware of this is going to be important. As astrology now done, and on that high note of Polaris, we have the sense of our angels and our spirit guides calling us to something higher, to something powerful, to something that we're really connecting with, our passion, our insight, our ideas. This is judgment. At our root is judgment, and our angels are calling us out of the box that we have put ourselves in, out of the hurt and the trauma and the drama that we have been through, and we're seeing ourselves rising higher and higher, rising more and more into ourselves and what it is that we desire, and we're just seeing things so differently than we saw them before. We can actually be going through a little bit of a crisis of faith, or a crisis of identity, or a crisis of what we truly want, because we're starting to see things so differently than we saw them. And the box that we were in, the kind of like safety, this is what you do, this is what success looks like, this is what happiness looks like, this is what brilliance looks like, that's going to be challenged during this time. So just be aware of this. The Ace of Swords is God's source spirit, however you see the divine, the universe, cutting through doubts and fears and negativity. This is going to be a time where clarity comes in, where it's like, oh my gosh, I don't know why I didn't see that before. It's going to be an assurity of voice, an assurity of instincts, an assurity of mind that's really coming forward. And it leads us to our dreams. It leads us to what we need to embrace. It leads us to what we want to embrace. It leads us to asking the question, why aren't I making the time for this? Or, how is it that I can organize my life in a way that the joy comes back, that the beauty comes back, that the adventure and the imagination and the connection is there again? Because it brings us to our heart. And what's happening is divinity is handing us a gift. Now, it might not feel like a gift, but divinity is handing us a gift that takes us away from what we're going to initially be looking at and move us in a direction where it's like, oh wow, I can't believe I didn't see that before. Or, oh wow, what does this mean? And how does this move forward? And what do I do with this? This can feel like a heck of a lot more work before we realize it was a blessing, before we realize it's powerful and it's intense. And it brings us to the Queen of Pentacles. It brings us to prosperity and wealth and abundance. It brings us to this place where we're crowned above by love. And there is just a sense of our hearts shining forward with just severe competence. Capricorn, we're going to really be looking at things and being able to get the job done, being able to go after what it is that we want and what it is that we desire, being able to look at the bigger pictures of things and say, this is where I need to be, this is where I want to be for myself, and this is what I desire for me. There's also a sense of nurturing our wealth, watching it grow in different directions than we thought it was possible for it to grow with. And it brings us then to the Nine of Cups. It brings us to this place in the public arena where our wishes start to come true, where we start to see ourselves as powerful, where we start to see ourselves as insightful. But what's also going to happen is we're not going to see our gifts as clearly as everybody else is. So as we have our gifts coming forward, we'll be like, oh yeah, that's no big deal. And other people will be looking at it and being like, Capricorn, that is completely a big deal. Take notice, take note. And then we have, as we start to take note, like as we start to kind of really wake up to this, it brings us to the Eight of Wands. It brings us to change coming in. And once the change comes, it's like, I can't stop it. All of a sudden, everything is changing. Everything is powerful. And we are swept forward in a direction that we weren't looking for to begin with, but yet are going to be absolutely blown away by. Now let's see what the moon has to say for herself. Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Angels and spirit guides. So we have here at our root, we have the energy is gaining gaining momentum, attraction. So the energy is gaining momentum. What are we attracting into our lives and why? As this energy gains, what is being called forward? It brings us to our lunar inner self, and that is believe in the impossible. Focus. Focus on believing in the impossible. Focus on the energy that's coming forward, and we're going to sit there and think, oh no, there's no way. We're going to get down on ourselves. We're going to get angry at ourselves, harsh on ourselves. And Spirit saying here, don't bring your limitations forward. Don't put it in your mind, in your thoughts, in your way of seeing the world. Open it up, and divinity will guide you to a place. Spirit will guide you to a place that is astounding. It brings us to our lunar emotional self, and it says a fiery climax approaches, self-reflection. There's going to be such intensity as we really start to see ourselves and really start to see the reflection of our energy within this world. It brings us to our lunar public arena self, and it's the full moon. The full moon is tremendously powerful and has a tremendous power over us in the public arena. And it says surrender to the divine, because that's where the growth is. That is how we grow. We do not hold all the answers. The answers are going to be presented to us in such a way that it's going to be like, I can't believe I didn't see that before, or I can't believe I didn't, open up that door before. And that becomes the game changer for us. So let's look at our subconscious lunar energy. And it says, don't let pride get in the way. Release. Release the ego. Release living for other people to be oohed and awed over our lives and what we do. And just start to be. Just explore and expand and become. And it leads us to our subconscious energy to be mindful of. And it's the Princess of Pentacles. It's our own energy, earth sign energy. And it's feeling entitled to things. It's like, well, I should have this. It's being like a little princess about it all, right? And what Spirit is saying here is that we work hard for what we get. And we need to not be taken in by people who just expect, who think, oh, well, I can bat my lashes and get my way, or I can, throw a hissy fit and get my way. And also for ourselves inside, subconsciously, we're going to have to be mindful of the energy that's tired of working so hard and being so diligent and focusing and sacrificing and, going and going and going. And yet Spirit is saying that that's part of what life is. It doesn't give us days off. It doesn't make things easy because we're having a hard time dealing with it all. And so just being aware of that is going to be very helpful. It's going to be like when it gets hard, we're just going to have to laser our focus. We're just going to have to kind of like dig our heels in a little bit and embrace the stubborn. It brings us to our subconscious chakra energy, which is listening. This is the throat chakra, and this is being able to really listen to what we want, to the world around us, to the way that we want to move forward for ourselves. As we listen, we find that it's a superpower. Most times we think of the throat chakra and we think of talking, but our world is constantly talking. There's always noise. What about the quiet? What about the listening? What about the connection? It moves us to our subconscious rooted energy, and that's love. That's the full moon in Gemini. It's Gemini energy. Gemini is represented by the lovers in the major arcana. And what we have here is that connection with the love, with the passion, with the answers, with the insight. And it brings us to our subconscious inner self. And that is the Five of Swords. We're going to be facing a battle we've faced before. We cannot let it rip us down. We stand firm and tall in our successes. And we do not let other people's judgment become our definitions. It brings us to our subconscious emotional self, and that's the Five of Pentacles. We're facing another five. Okay, this is going to be something that we think, oh my gosh, this is never going to end. But the Five of Pentacles is poverty. It's a poverty mindset. It's being out in the cold. It's, it's trying to find our way. It's being overwhelmed, and it's being intense, and it's like it's too much. So here, it's looking at things and saying, where does this come from? Where does this poverty mindset come from? Does it come from my childhood? Does it come from a relationship that I was in? Does it come from, going out there and putting my best foot forward and not succeeding the way that I dreamed of, not succeeding the way that I envisioned as, I was picturing my world as I move forward? Where does this fear come from? And why is it that we're walking away from safety and security? And that safety and security can just simply be our confidence in ourselves, our belief in ourselves. Because if we believe in us, then people will start to believe in us. It might take a little while, right? Because we have to have it penetrate deep down into our souls and ourselves. But if we don't believe in us, who the heck would? It brings us then to our subconscious public arena self. And that is the King of Coins. That's us. That's embracing our prosperity and our success, the highest level that we can go before we embrace, the devil energy, the essence of ourselves, which I always think is rude that for Capricorn, it's the devil. But, here it's just very much the sense of this is my prosperity. This is what I desire in my life. This is my passion. This is my focus. This is who I am. And this is what I've worked for. And nobody will take it away from me. Period. End of discussion. All right. All right, Capricorn. I hope this reading has resonated with you. I wish you nothing but light, love, peace, and happiness. May harmony always be with you. I'm sending loving, healing energy to each and every one of you. I love you all, and stay safe. Let's end this reading with a meditation, a clearing away of negative energy, a raising of our positive energy as we embrace the power and the intensity of this moon. So take a nice deep breath in, exhaling whenever it feels comfortable for you. May you move forward in peace and in harmony, Capricorn, and may you have a blessed moon.